Welcome to the Carbitrage Podcast, episode 183. I'm Eric Berger, joined as always by my co-host Ryan Snitsky. Hello.
Hello there.
Welcome back.
Hi.
I am still working on the same beer from last week. It is still cold.
I'm drinking our Heineken.
All right, sounds good. Heading over to patreon.com/Carbitrage. What?
Have you ever heard the story about the CEO of Heineken
No,
being
tell me
kidnapped?
right now.
I'm going to send you the actual
No,
video
tell
to
us
it.
all right now.
So the CEO of Heineken was kidnapped, I think, twice, and then eventually killed by kidnappers.
What the hell? It's like Uwe Gambala. It's probably the same guy.
I can't just describe that right now. It is the same level of ridiculous story as Uwe Gambala's story.
Have we ever told Uwe Gambala's story on this
No, but we
podcast?
need to do, I think we should do maybe not quite monthly, but every couple months we should do like a past gas style, do an entire episode telling one story. Because I think there's some.
As long as you're the one that does it, I'm fine with it.
I can
don't
totally
have
do
that much
that,
time to do that research.
Yeah, well, I totally can because
I'm fine with that.
I also know a lot of stuff off the top of my head.
That will give me
fact check.
an opportunity to sit comfortably and interject only once in a while.
Yeah, I can totally do that.
Okay.
And Past Gas is my favorite podcast in the world other than Carbitrage, so I will.
Nice save there.
I can totally do something along those lines. So
anyway, patreon.com/Carbitrage on this direct support website for content consumers like you to support content producers like us. You will find two open-ended levels of support, one of which actually gets you a few kickbacks too with some merch. Head on over to patreon.com/Carbitrage if you'd like to help us buy some more beer.
So I learned something just now.
Okay.
When you put Orajel on your teeth and then you accidentally get a little bit on your tongue, it makes your taste buds not work there.
Interesting. So you could drink 56 Brewing and not feel the racism.
Yes, that's true. I can also drink literally any IPA now. And not
Bring Orajel. Yes. It'll just slosh
go
them
to
around.
Surly.
Oh,
Go to Surly.
You
Grab a
can't,
Surly
though.
Union Buster.
Surly closed.
That's the saying. Go to
Okay.
Surly when they open back up again. Get a Surly Union Buster, whatever they call their new beer. And then take some Orajel. It'll be the best beer in the world. That was one of
I got a targeted Facebook ad yesterday for 56 Brewing,
Oh, no.
and it had no angry reacts on it on Facebook. I'm like, people have a short memory.
I don't think it's that. I think it's like 56 Brewing targets their audience to people that don't watch the news or are actually Nazis.
I don't watch the news, but I try to keep myself as far removed from Nazis as I can.
Exactly. But I mean, that's the thing. It's like they're two things. It's like likes Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
Likes newsworthy ignorance. That's you.
So on that note,
On that bombshell.
I know I'm a terrible person for demanding to remain ignorant of a lot of shit that goes on.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, but it's also apparently white privilege.
Yes, it is.
And a lot of people that... Anyway, it's not worth talking about.
You're wearing a Ferrari shirt.
Shh.
That's to be expected.
Yeah, but I keep to myself.
But all right, so this is,
And I'm kind to people sometimes.
it's just one of those things. So
Most of the time.
you pick your battles. Like
Yeah.
if it's like if somebody's just being completely ignorant of everything in general,
Yeah.
I think that's a little bit different.
I'm talking like the people I talk to that are like full on ACAB, BLM shit. Like,
Yeah.
I get where you're coming from. I do. But like, I'm not changing I'm not trying to get with you that bad. All right.
Well, see, I think the other thing is you don't do it just for BLM stuff.
No, I'm
You
universal that
literally-
way. I don't
you
pay attention to any
universally
news.
don't
Yeah.
want to pay attention to things.
Yes.
I think that's different as opposed to like people that
I don't just unfollow political pages.
They pick their things that they care about. I think that's more of an issue than somebody that just universally does not care about anything.
Well, I care about cats and cars.
Yes, and that's the thing. It's like you literally when you say you care about that, that's what you care
People
about.
are astonished when they find out that I'm not kidding.
Like no, you literally. That's true. Like every time I've been at your house, you're watching something cat related, car related, or it's AVE.
Both.
Yeah.
I got two TVs. I can do both.
Yeah, and usually it is both. Yes. So.
Anyway, I'm not sure how we got on the tangent. It doesn't matter. But yeah, don't buy 56 Brewing, and cool that you can drink IPAs now.
Yeah, that's cool. So there you
Thank
go.
you, Orajel.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Orajel. Now I
Looking
can
to sponsor
drink
somebody,
IPA.
let us know.
Anyway, so moving on. We talked about Patreon. Yes, we did.
We did.
All right, so I want to talk about we all know what 280ZX syndrome is.
We do.
Where you have the better car on each end of you. Your car's perfectly good, but looks comparatively shit. I want to talk about cars that were just objectively bad. Just bad, disappointing, terrible follow-up models. And it's like, who ate shit the hardest after making something really, really, really great?
Uh-oh.
And
I read this backward. No, actually, almost all of mine still apply.
Yeah, like, it's something that, it's like, where they took, like, I would be tempted to say, like, a Toyota Corolla after the A86, except the A101 is actually really good.
That car is still one of my favorite recommendations for new drivers.
What I would say is, so this will be my best example.
Okay.
The 7th generation U.S. domestic market Mitsubishi Galant.
Is that the 2002 or the 2007?
It's the 93.
Oh, okay. All right.
Right after they canned the Galant VR4, they went to the bigger body style.
Yeah.
And we didn't get the Japanese domestic market version of the Galant VR4 that they made for that. Because they made a twin-turbo V6 all-wheel drive manual Galant VR4 of that body style.
Really cool.
But we did not receive it. We only received the front-wheel drive V6 and 4-cylinder
Yet
ones.
we federalized that drivetrain
I know.
for the 3000 GT.
I know. It's entirely Mitsubishi. Like, there's a reason Mitsubishi is
The
on life
powertrain was
support.
already DOT certified.
I know. There's a reason. There's a reason that this car is my shining example
What the hell?
of eating shit after making a great car.
Oh,
I know.
I am
right?
so irked by that.
It's really irritating, isn't it?
I didn't even know that car existed.
It's that bad of a car. Like,
A sedan is better than a two-door.
well, so they had the Galant VR4, which is already a sedan.
That's better than a 3000 GT is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and so you had everything going for you. You had everything available. You didn't give it to us.
I'm so peeved.
So that's an example of what I say. What is the most objectively bad and disappointing follow-up?
Do all of yours first, because I read this wrong, and I did cars that were way better after. So I picked like the shit cars that were massively improved after they were done.
Okay, that's fair.
Which are not necessarily mutually exclusive, but
So I'm going to go with another one that people don't think of because they just think the whole brand as a whole is a bit shit. Saturn.
okay. Well, that brand's dead.
Yes, for the reason that this is why that brand's dead. So the Saturns in the 90s, the SWs, the SLs, the SCs, actually really good cars. They had a bespoke engine. They were designed bespoke by themselves and everything. They were very, very successful, except production or R&D costs were like through the roof. GM, after the second generation SL, SW body style, GM came in and just had Saturn, instead of making their own bespoke models, just captive importing Opals. And that's where the Saturn L series came in.
Yep.
And that is the car that killed that brand. If you get into a Saturn SL, like a late model Saturn SL, manual, like a SL2, manual with the dual overhead cam engine, actually a really good car.
SL1 is probably where I would draw the line of acceptable. The SL2s are really ugly.
No, the SL1 means single overhead cam. SL2 means dual overhead cam.
What am I thinking of? I'm thinking of like the roundier...
First and second body style.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, as a car, as an actual driving instrument, it is a way better... Like, it's actually just as good of a car, the second generation.
I know they handle really well and
They're
everything.
super good cars. But then you get into a Saturn L, even a Saturn L300.
Yeah.
Just garbage top to
Yeah, those
bottom.
were Opel Vauxhall.
Yeah.
And when they first came out, I'm like, oh, cool. That looks like a very European car from GM. But, like, nobody that bought Saturn or GM wanted a European car.
Well, not only that, it looked like that. They took all the mechanical goodness and replaced it for aesthetic goodness and nothing else.
And Vauxhall parts, which are hard to find.
And GM reliable. So, not that great.
Keep going.
So, yeah, the Saturn L series really, I think, is just the biggest L that GM ever took on any individual model. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's a pun. It's a Saturn L. It's an L series. I took an L. But I think a car that, like, a lot of people throw into this category but do it completely unfairly is the Ford Mustang II. I think the Ford Mustang II falls more into the 280ZX category than it does the objectively bad category. Because a Mustang 2 it's based off of the Pinto. It's also got a lot of parts carryover with the Ford Capri in Europe.
It was actually a pretty high-tech car.
Yeah, it was a really good car. And actually,
I never said it was good. Just
well,
it was high-tech.
I mean, the V6 is actually one of the best.
Is that the Granada engine?
It is the Cologne V6?
Yeah, but a Ford Granada.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I think they're same family.
Yeah, it's actually a good V6 that you can actually make power. And it has a racing pedigree. So the engine's good. The car is
down there
good.
that has one in a Triumph. It's cool.
Yeah, very cool. But I think it's just the fact that it was in between.
Rack and pinion steering?
Yes, rack and pinion steering. It was in between the muscle car Mustang and the Fox body Mustang.
Well, it was a miser. It was engineered to be that. So
yeah, and it's one of those things where it's actually I've got a friend named Dylan who's actually got a Ford Mustang 2 Ghia that he's building with a bunch of Mercury Capri performance parts, and he's actually making a cool vintage rally car out of it.
I think if you took that late 70s Japanese modification style and you applied it to that,
that's kind of what he's doing.
Yeah,
that's what he's doing. Yeah.
Like those four-spoke gold center dishy chrome wheels that are 13-inch and the flares and
you can make
lower
them really
it.
cool.
You could probably make it pretty cool.
He's doing a Ford Pinto front bumper and a fiberglass rear bumper, so he's getting rid of the baby buggy bumpers.
Okay.
He's doing everything he can to make the car look way better. And honestly, where he's at right now already looks 100% better than normal.
That's really cool.
But it's the only time I've ever heard of somebody actually building a Mustang 2 and not trying to just make it a drag car, but actually playing up the performance of that car, because it's actually a good car.
Well, modify it in a way that isn't an American modification.
Yeah, you modify it as you modify it as you would modify a E21 3 Series.
I would say more a Datsun 510.
Or 510. Well, that's what I'm saying. You do them the same way. Where you do...
2002, maybe. E21s were more on the newer age of
But I mean,
modification style.
what I'm saying is with modifying, instead of just trying to make it go fast in a straight line,
right.
you play up its benefits. Okay. You leave the performance at the side, where you can get some. You're not going to be the world's fastest car.
You understand going into it, it's not worth it.
Yeah. you're not going to be really fast. But it can handle, really well. It can sound cool. It can sound cool. It can handle well. It can look great. Yeah. You just have to make it do that. And I think
I'm actually very intrigued to see his car done. Well, not done, but out and about.
Yeah. So
have we had him on before?
I don't think we have, but I'll definitely because Dylan Anderson would totally. He's one of Jana's friends that I ended up being friends with. But yeah, he's a very very cool car that he's building. But I'm going to give you my last example off the top of my head that goes into just objectively bad.
Then I'll hop into my reverse arguments.
I'm going to go with the Mark V Golf. So much worse in every way than the Mark IV.
The thing is, when it came out, it was like, oh, this is going to be great. We get a budget Audi.
Yeah.
For Volkswagen Golf. As they aged,
nobody
said
it slowly. Nobody said it slowly. Everybody was, budget Audi. Nobody said, budget Audi.
Yeah.
Nobody said it like that.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. The Mark V Golf, in every way, is just objectively worse.
Well, keep in mind, we had just gotten off the B5 A4.
Yeah,
that was a great car.
Yeah.
Getting into the B6 A4, nobody knew that they were shit yet.
Yeah, exactly.
So, the Mark IV was the last.
That's the Mustang right now, as it sits.
Is he going to lower it more?
Yeah, he's going to lower it. But, I mean, also, if you look at the Grand Marquis wheels, look great.
They do.
But, so that's where he's starting. So, yeah.
I'm going to sound stupid for saying this, but he needs to go with a smaller wheel and a smaller tire and more lows and bigger fender flares and things.
He's already lowered it since that photo. So, he's getting other...
he needs to go balls to the wall with that mod.
And then that's the front bumper he's doing.
That's still probably the best looking
Mustang
Pinto 2 I've
that's
ever
a
seen.
Pinto bumper.
I understand.
But
I'm saying his car, though.
And then that's the rear bumper that they're going to put on it.
Much better.
Yeah, it's going to be a really dope Mustang, too. I'm really excited. Because he previously built a really cool Bronco, too. So he's
only going for cars that have a 2 in the name.
He's going for cars that are just a bit
Next up, Saturn SL2.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, back on the Mark V Golf. You went from a 5-valve, 1.8 turbo. That was a great engine.
Which is one of Audi's 3 good engines.
Yeah. And then you went to a 2.0T, which in every iteration, I will fight to the death on this, just like an Aston Martin that is shit in every way. There's nothing good about 2OT.
Did I tell you about last time I drove the 355? It was like 2 weekends ago. I went to Micro Center in it on my way to drink with my brothers.
Yeah.
I parked next to a B6.5 A4.
Yeah.
And the guy started talking to me about my car. He's like, "You got a little bit of a coolant smell." I'm like, "Yeah, it's a Ferrari. It does that." I'm like, "I noticed you have a 2.0T and it runs." He's like, "Yeah, it just started leaking oil." I'm like, "Ooh, you're due for a rear main." I couldn't see the car very well. I'm like, "Is it a TSI or an FSI?" He's like, "It's a TSI." I'm like, "Oh." It's like, "I just did the water pump and I think I got it to seal this time and I've done timing chains." I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, you're getting there." And like shortly thereafter, he's like, "I can see a puddle of coolant." I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, there's a puddle." I'm like, "All right, that's not normal." I proceeded to drive and fix it. It was a loose hose climb, but like, we're just like,
see, this is the thing. You have a Ferrari.
ripping on
He has a normal car.
Right. Like, you have a terrible Audi, and like, I have an exotic car, and I guarantee my hose clamp was easier to fix than his rear main seal.
Yeah, like that's the thing. It's like like I was saying when I was working at Gig Karmas, the 2OT is a 6-sided dice, and every single side has a $1,000 fix on it. And every time you start that car, you roll your D20, and if you do a Constitution check and your Constitution's a 5, anything that's above a 5, you're gonna take an L on. And then you just roll for what breaks.
It doesn't have any endearing qualities to make up for that.
No,
either.
it's not good at anything.
No, it's
like,
not an inspired power plant.
It doesn't look great.
No.
It doesn't sound
When the
great.
Mark V GTI came out, the Huffs, the 18-inch Huff wheels, I adore. I love those wheels. I really like how an 06 Golf GTI looks.
Yes.
Stock. That is it. I don't like the car. I owned one for a while. That's the only Volkswagen Auto Group product I've ever owned.
I've owned a couple, but...
Yeah. We won't talk about that. Where'd it touch you, Ryan?
Well,
it
it didn't touch me anywhere. It tried to throw me out of the vehicle when the seatbelt and the door latch simultaneously
Jetta or whatever the hell it
failed
was.
with the
Sorry,
throttle pedal.
I'm doing the tangents now.
Yeah.
Sorry,
But anyway, so the Mark V, the closest thing to a redeeming factor on that vehicle is the 5-cylinder engine, which is really, 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 really good.
after the first year and a half of production.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing is like, that does not make up for the rest of the vehicle as a whole being shit.
The interiors held up really well, and they're really nice.
Kind of.
Compared to a Mark IV?
Yeah, compared to a Mark IV. No, not really, because their headliners sag and the dashboards crack.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I knew the seats held up really well.
And then the window switches break.
Did the...
Also, the taillights. The taillights are not fused. And water gets into them, shorts out the whole fucking car.
Jesus Christ, I'm glad I sold this thing. I will say my favorite Volkswagen probably is an 04 GLI Bloodline. Which
That'd
is
be cool.
the red GLI badge, because it had the BBS RCs on it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It had the 6-speed. It had the last 1.8T. It had the tartan seats.
Yep.
Like, great looking car.
Well, so let's just like go back, like before the Mark V. So we had the Mark IV. We had the 25th anniversary edition. R32 aside, like normal Golfs. You had
R32 wasn't good 'cause it's a timing chain monster.
but I mean it's a cool.
It is a cool car, and I think a stock R32 is a buy.
Yeah. Well, there's one that sold a low mile stock R32 in that really cool blue, like still on brand trailer.
My uncle bought one of those brand new in 2003.
Oh, wow. Well, he would have made a profit because it was sold for like $60,000 or something.
Yeah, we're not surprised by that. I was actually angry when he sold it.
But so anyway, with this R32, or other than the R32, so you have the Bloodline edition, you have the 25th anniversary edition,
Which is kind of the same thing in Golf form,
and then you have going back to the Mark III, you have the K2, you have
Mark
so
III's
many,
rust too much.
It's true, but I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, these cars are just better than the Mark V because they all had something endearing. It's like
the Mark III had the 90s bus fabric seats, which was awesome.
Yes, which is very cool. And the K2 package, which is like everybody sleeps on it, and it's my favorite package because you had the entire K2 like snow gear, everything. Super cool.
And even like, keep in mind, like in 90, I think VR6.
Yeah.
And they brought out the VR6.
Yeah.
That car was a freaking rocket ship. It was faster.
95, actually. 95, 96.
It was
yeah.
amazingly early.
Yeah.
Whatever it was. I think the Corrado even got it a year earlier. But that car, like the 12 valves actually, in VR6 terms, pretty reliable.
Yeah. You can make a lot of power
with
on
that, with that 5-speed, like you could probably drive one of those with not ridiculous maintenance for a long time.
Yeah.
And like you had to spend double to get a car faster than that.
Yeah, seriously. Like that, it was a very, very good car. Like
So that's endearing to the Mark III. But like, yeah, the Mark V, what did it offer us? Like, it gave us like a crappier, heavier car with the R32 engine. It gave us a worse TDI engine. It did give us the 5-cylinder, which after a while was good.
I think it has independent rear suspension.
Some of them do.
But I mean, like that's the thing is like, it doesn't handle better though.
No.
It's not like a Civic.
It's heavier.
It's not like a Civic where the double wishbone and trailing arm multi-link rear suspension setup made the car objectively better.
Right.
This one, like, it was a little bit less harsh It was a little bit less harsh on bumps. That's what the Mark V gave you.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't give you anything. You had the tartan seats and a 5-cylinder engine and nothing else. That was it.
I do like the seats.
Oh, and
The one I had leather.
don't think they don't rust, because they have huge paint failure issues. In fact,
Dude.
Volkswagen actually had a recall on it.
Mine was 3 years old. It had 59,000 miles on it. The engine didn't run because the oil pump had already seized, and the balance shaft was fucked. And it was rusting on 5 panels.
Yeah, like seriously, they're objectively bad in every way. So yeah, the Mark V Golf, the last one of my cars. And I promise you, I didn't mention this topic just to say the Mark V Golf. I mentioned this topic.
I didn't even notice the Mark V Golf in the notes when I wrote mine. There you go.
Like, when I wrote this topic, I wrote it because I was trying to think about that. I'm like, what is the car like actually was like in every way worse than its predecessor?
That's a really good answer because the Mark IV, as much as people hate on it, it's solid.
I hate Mark IVs. For the most part, do not like Volkswagen like bros.
Josh.
And yeah. For the most part, do not like Volkswagen bros.
Cool.
But like I can.
It is a better car though.
It is a good car. It is so much better than Mark V. And like I get the hype. I just like anybody that fanboys too hard about a car. I get irritated with.
Scott says Z33 versus Z32. Yeah.
That's
350Z was worse.
The 350Z was much worse. But I mean like.
But it gave us the CD9, so that was
yeah,
good.
so I had like a good transmission. The thing is like, the 350Z you can actually make as a platform, like to like do good stuff.
Yeah, but a Z32 is a great platform. It was just hard to work on.
But yeah, and that's the thing. It's like the Z32, like
that was really its Achilles heel.
Yeah, it's just difficult to work on. But I mean, like I think that the question is like, is a VQ actually worse than the VG?
I think so.
I don't think so, though. That's the thing. As I honestly cannot say 100% that the VQ is. I think they're both a bit shit.
Yeah, they're differently shitted.
I think they both suck, but I think they suck in different ways. Whereas, like...
Right, but all the twin-turbo Zs still run. It's just how long they've been parked due to turbocharger issues versus I don't have timing chains anymore.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Is like the Z32, the big issue with the Z32 is a later in life issue. It's not something where it's like... That's a car where it's like... I would say it's worse. But, like, you can make an argument for it. It's not a car that there's no argument for. Where there's just, like, no way that, like, this is a brand-killing car. It's not like that.
It should have been, but it was too hard to... It was too expensive. That's why it wasn't a brand-killing car, and it was too hard to work on. That's really what...
Another great example, the EP3 Civic SI.
The 03? 02? 02.
That's another one. It's just, like, worse in every way.
But it's a hatch.
God.
Hatches are better than sedans.
That's the thing. That's why I didn't put it on. It's because it's a hatch, and the hatch is better than
That's
the
a redeeming quality. Had they given us an EM1 hatch...
Yeah.
Oh.
It would have been...
Oh, I bought one of those new.
Yeah. Well, they did. It's called the Civic SIR. But, I would recommend importing one.
RSX versus Integra.
The thing is, the RSX it's worse, but it's not that much worse.
I think RSX was just a little too heavy and, again, a little too expensive.
Also, it was just coming off of... How do you improve on a DC2 Integra Type R?
RSXs are K20s, right?
Yeah. But like you literally... Honda put themselves in a corner with that car. Like, there's no way that you could improve on a DC2 Integra Type R. Like, without making something else worse and meeting emissions.
I think the prices reflect that, yeah.
And I think I think if they made a really good car on its own, would have been a great car.
The DC2 ITR might go down in history as the best front-wheel drive car ever.
A lot of people say that, and I can't disagree. I can make an argument for the EK
Anyone
Civic.
that's driven a 90s or a 2000s front-wheel drive Honda will understand that if you want a front-wheel drive car for whatever godforsaken reason, you buy a Honda.
Yeah. Anybody that says otherwise is just wrong.
It's just wrong.
You're just wrong. Like, there's just no other thing to go
Scott says
on.
Renault Sport Megane has to be up there. It is. Renault does really good front-wheel drive cars, but they are not on the same tier.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, like, Scott, you really have to, like...
They also benefit from having made them, like, a completely different time. Renault front-wheel drive got good when the ITR died.
Yeah, I think that's true. If the ITR didn't exist, the Renault Sport Megane would probably be the greatest front-wheel drive car.
And they're really good.
But it's also one of those things where it's like, this is one of those cars where you cannot describe how good it is without, like... It's like trying to describe, like, a good wine or, like, really good food or, like, a good song. Like, you can't...
It just happened to work that well.
It is so much more than some of its parts. It's more than just a feeling. It is more than... There are not English words that can describe how that car makes me feel. Like, I think the closest thing is Mazda's little thing where it's with the Miata where they say Jinba Itai, where it means horse and rider is one. Where I feel like it's that, but there's also, like, that still doesn't encompass it because the feeling of the car, like, everything down to the durometer of the engine mounts is perfect on the Integra Type R. Like, they just made literally a perfect
That's
car.
a greatest hits front-wheel drive Honda. And
Yeah.
that's a big statement because there have been a lot of very good front-wheel drive Hondas.
I'm going to put the ITR up there with the DB5.
Yeah?
I think that...
Honestly, that's one of those cars, like, if I just happened to see one that was, like, in my kind of spec, where, like, yeah, it's been in a crash, but it's been fixed.
Yeah.
And, like, it's got a ton of miles, or, like, the engine burns oil, which they all do.
The $15,000 to $20,000 Integra Type R. Yeah.
If honestly, if one of those came up and it was $15,000 and it was okay,
Yeah.
I would 100% do that.
I think you absolutely should because it will be worth more. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't driven one, but I guarantee it is that good.
So what would you put on this list? Because
So,
I feel like you're
again,
going to come with some European stuff I didn't think of.
I had it the other way around. So I picked a car that just, like, it was either in the middle of two good models or it was a bad car that just turned into a good car.
Okay.
So
this is totally different.
The 280ZX syndrome for you as a JDM guy is the BMW E21 syndrome for
Yeah,
a German
yeah,
car guy.
yeah.
So my first answer is the E21. And this fits too because it fits your thing because, like, the E10 was way better and, like, it didn't make sense because it was a worse car.
Yeah.
But it had all the following. I mean, it was the track day bitch for like 20 years after it was produced. E21, none of that, just because it was the same stuff, but maybe a little worse and a heavier body.
It was just objectively worse.
And then the E30, and we all know the history. It's just like the E21. It didn't have any, like, in the U.S. we didn't get any 6-cylinder engines.
And I think we could even call this E21 syndrome. Because this is a car that is just objectively
That's what
worse.
I said. I mean,
Yeah.
you call it 280ZX syndrome. For me, that's
Yeah.
E21 syndrome.
Well, I mean, because I think that they're two different things. Where the 280ZX was actually a legitimately very good car.
Well, some E21s were too.
But I mean, like, as a car,
Okay.
if a 280ZX was called a Leopard in the United States, a completely different name, it would go down as one of the greatest Malays sports cars. It was a great car. It is just sandwiched in between shit.
So it's like calling an EV crossover a Mustang?
Yeah. Like if the
Interesting.
Mach-E was called the Ford
Lightning?
like the Lightning E,
You had
or
a better answer.
the
for
Galaxy.
that. The Galaxy.
Yeah, the
that's what it
Galaxy.
was.
Yeah, if they called it the Galaxy,
Tucker
it'd be
keeps
way
posting
better.
Lightning
Yeah.
everywhere. I'm like, that's fair, but
Yeah, I think if it was called the Galaxy, it'd be way better. But, like, I think that the E21, if that was called a BMW 2 Series or a 4 Series in 1970, it would still be shit.
yeah, they drive fine,
Yeah,
but it's not. It's so underwhelming.
that's the thing. Is like it's not good. It's okay.
Next one I've got. So a car that was. Okay, it wasn't actually that much worse than its predecessor, but it was quite a bit worse than the car that followed it up. The W203 Mercedes C-Class.
Driggs Mercedes, yes,
A W203.
I believe he has one.
Really?
Yes.
When did he get that?
He's got a lot of Mercedes.
So he's got, what was that, 2001 to 2006?
I think he's got one.
Wow.
Like the C230 compressor, like that.
No, that's a 20. Well, that was offered in both.
The body style though, the 203, the early 90s, the post 190E.
No, that's a 202. Those are cool.
Okay.
He's got a C43 that he's LS swapping, and I'm angry with him. I'm talking the W203.
Oh.
The 01 to 06.
Yeah.
The water-based paint catastrophe that's all Chrysler-fied.
Bad.
Yeah, so they had...
Wait, what was the CLK, I think, was the one that from that... What was that?
Yeah, there was a CLK in that era. I mean...
That one, I would say, is just a piece of shit across the board. There's nothing good about that car.
They're fine. They really don't have any major issues except for the water-based paint.
And the taillights.
Well, they're not attractive. No, they're not attractive. That's not what I'm saying at all. The 203 is actually a good-looking car in some trims, but it's a terrible car.
Yes. I think the 203 I'd have difficulty putting on this list.
We test drove in 06 a very late 05 C350 with the 7-speed auto with the sport pack. Mm-hmm. It had those really nice 7-spoke, like very edgy looking wheels. It was lower. It had a nice interior. Had the better engine, the newer 3.5 V6 7-speed auto. We almost ended up with that instead of a 335, but I'm glad we didn't because of the rust. And again, that was the last year of this, like, the Chrysler influence really hung on from, like, 96 to 06. That generation of Mercedes, you really have to mean it to want one.
Yeah.
And the C-Class, I mean, it didn't have the money to buy its way out of these problems.
No, it didn't. It was the entry level.
And the 204 was such a good car. Mm-hmm. It was so good.
Yeah, it was like the generations around it. I think. Well,
the 202 wasn't that much better, but
what would be a great example in this case of like the Mark V Golf syndrome?
Yeah.
I think is what I might call this, or I guess the E21 syndrome. I would say if they called the ML the G-Wagon, because the ML was originally when they designed the ML. They were designing it to be a replacement for the Geländewagen.
Yeah, but when they designed the 928, they were designing it to replace the 911.
But if they'd called the ML the G320, and if they called the 928 the
buildings would have been on fire.
That's what I'm talking about. Like this level of shit. And it's like
had they called the 203 C-Class like a B class at the time when the B didn't
different
exist,
name, yeah.
like, sure,
a different name,
fine.
yeah.
It makes sense that it's crappy. It's
cheaper.
cheaper.
And I think a lot of your cars are just cars that were very poorly marketed. I think
that definitely is the case for my next one and last one, which is the Cadillac Catera.
That one is
the caddy that zigs.
That should not have been a cat. You know what that would have been great for? That would have been the world's just the coolest fucking Grand Prix. That would have saved Cadillac or saved Cadillac and Pontiac. That would totally save Pontiac if the Catera came here under the name the Grand Prix. Would have been just the coolest shit in the world.
Well, it had a better engine maybe because I mean it had the Opel engine.
If they'd called, because they already had Pontiac had the Grand Am, which had the 3 whatever.
It would have been a 3.8, but that's fine.
But I mean,
all the southern people like the.
But I mean, like the Catera would have been so cool if it was a Pontiac. It would have been just the best Pontiac. Or if they brought that back as like a GTO, that would have been a very cool.
Well, it's the
GTO.
same platform.
Yeah, like that would have been a very cool car if they had that with just like a Vortec in it. Like,
oh, dude, yeah, an Opel Omega. Even if it was the older small block, which at the time wouldn't make any sense,
LT,
but the LT1. But yeah, imagine an LS1.
Well, I'm not even saying LS. Like if you got a 4.8 Vortec in that car, that would have been a great name
instead
for
of the Bonneville GXP. Give us the Catera with a 4.8.
So that's the thing with the Bonneville. The Bonneville is supposed to be the biggest thing that they made.
Fine H platform,
Yeah, I know. So that's why originally I thought of the word Bonneville, but I'm like, wait, that was actually supposed to be big. But I think all right. Yeah. So if Pontiac,
but still, that could have been better as a Pontiac, yes. Yeah. But the thing is, the Catera with very little changes under the hood became the CTS.
1 second. The Catera is a Buick, and then you call that the Buick Regal. That would have been a great last generation Buick Regal.
Yeah, the old people would have loved it because it's rear-wheel drive. It's
or
comfortable.
A Skylark. You call it a Skylark or something?
It would have been a perfect Skylark.
That would have been a great Skylark.
Skirt the rear fenders, call it good.
I mean, literally as it looked. Like, it would have been a great Skylark because they made the Skylark into the 90s.
Yeah.
But,
wow, yeah. They did.
Yeah. So
a little big for a Skylark, but not Crazy.
It's
People were digging big cars then.
that would have worked. Like that would have worked really well as a Buick or a Pontiac, just not as a Cadillac. It's
Buick should have introduced a car called the 3.8 or the 3800 only in beige, says Scott. The Buick 3800.
That would have made me
I kind of dig that, actually, yeah.
Like the Pontiac 6000.
You know it would have sold, yeah. Every time I hear Pontiac 6000, I know it's a real car, but it reminds me of the 6000 SUX from RoboCop.
Oh my God, yes. Which was also a Ford Thunderbird, apparently.
Beautiful. Just gorgeous. Just a perfect embodiment.
You know what also is something I didn't think about? The Malaise Thunderbird, just in every way, was just a brand-killing car.
Yeah. It's amazing that the brand came back after that.
Yeah, like that's just a car where just like, there's nothing good about it.
Actually, all Thunderbirds after...
No, because you had the turbocharged ones actually kicked ass a lot. They were very fast, and they have a really good racing pedigree, and you can make a shitload of power on them.
I have never
even
heard
into
that
the
from
90s.
them. Okay.
Yeah, really dumb. I didn't know that, but I watched a Donut Media video.
I guess the 2.3 turbo ones and the Eaton M90 supercharged ones may be okay, but...
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, but I mean that was like.
And then the new one, the S-Type powered...
Oh my God! I totally forgot about that. Oh, there we go. That is the perfect example.
I thought forever that those were Ford modular powered.
No.
Until I realized that they had the S-Type engine in them. I'm like, that is a 3.9 liter Land Rover engine.
Yeah, that's really bad. But I think that one is going to be our winner for. That's what we're going to call it. We're going to call it Thunderbird syndrome.
Deal.
Because the last generation Thunderbird is just the biggest eating shit after, like, they were making a comeback, and they're just like, you're like, this is great, the Thunderbird's great, it's so cool, like, every drug dealer has a Thunderbird, and what the fuck?
It's the Simpsons meme where he's riding his bicycle and he puts a stick through his own front wheel.
Exactly. And the Mercury Cougar is another one like that, where the Mercury Cougar was a Fox body, and then they made it into a Ford Probe.
With an even harder to change alternator.
Oh, God.
All right.
Gross.
On that, not wanting to talk about that anymore, I want to briefly talk about a company that I really genuinely thought was Vaporware.
What?
Lucid Air. So Lucid Motors.
No, I
is
know
the
what you're
company.
talking about, yeah.
We talked about the Lucid Air. It was one of those things like the Nikola, all these other
Nikola
startups.
trucks,
Yeah, whatever. That's all just like, okay, whatever. Show me something to tell me that you're not Vaporware. I set this aside. A couple days ago, they actually had their unveiling. Apparently, I mean, not only is this company real, they have a huge staff of people, most of them poached from Tesla and other EV companies. They have factories, workers. They have a concrete product that actually works. And they have a few specs that beat all of the competition, which is good because the first model they're intending to put out is $169,000. But hear me out. That is about the same as a Taycan Turbo S, and it's only a bit more than a performance Tesla Model S. And
I like the way it looks a lot more on a Tesla.
yeah, it's like Kia's modern design language had a love child with Jaguar, Land Rover, and Tesla.
Yeah, actually, I was to say, if you take a Kia Soul and you take
a Stinger, but
you take the Kia Soul design language and you put that on a Lincoln Continental platform, and that's what you get.
Yeah, this had suicide doors, absolutely.
Well,
but it's a sedan, which I really like.
It's really cool.
But this not only beats the 400-mile mythical range target that all these EV wannabes are like, oh, I can't buy an EV until it does at least 400 miles. The one with the shitty wheels does, I think, 500. It's in my notes. Over 500 miles. I think it's 517 miles, which is nuts. It's
517 miles.
113 kilowatt hours. 2.5 seconds to 60, and even with the bigger wheels, they're still quoting it at 457 miles, which is nuts.
So I don't really have much.
517, yes.
I guess I don't really have that much of an issue with like EVs for like range. I don't see why people are so problematic. I guess I also work from home, so like I really don't even give a shit.
That's the thing. You don't need it, but I get it.
Yeah.
For the people that like that's their only excuse for not buying an EV is the range. I'm like, well, now you don't have that. Now they just
do you know how
price, but
you want to be really great when EVs are all exist. Like every car turns into an EV, and like 400 miles is gonna be like that. The time to get like the mileage to get. Tomo, Wisconsin. I would buy real estate in Tomo, Wisconsin right now because it's exactly halfway to Chicago.
well, the Dells is halfway.
Well, no, the Dells are just a little bit before. If you actually do the math exactly, mathematically halfway is Toma, Wisconsin.
I'm just doing miles.
But yeah, it's that's a really cool car.
It's a great looking car. It does look like a Kia, which is not a bad thing at all.
No,
Kias
looking
look
like a
great.
Kia is a really endearing thing to say.
It
these
has a
days.
Model X style windshield where it comes all the way up to the B pillar.
Yeah,
But it's a little different. They actually epoxied the sun visor mirrors onto the glass.
see that. It's really cool, actually.
It's it's
Oh,
taking
no.
chances. What?
Imagine how terrible it's gonna look at from outside.
Yeah, it's probably not gonna be. But you tint it. You just do the tint thing, and it'll be fine.
It'll be
you just
so
tint it.
bad.
It'll
Look
be
at that.
fine.
Look at the epoxy. Oh God.
I imagine they'll get the fit and finish pretty well. I mean, even Tesla at this point have been able to get the fit and finish down on this kind of stuff.
But I mean,
so.
that's the thing is Tesla doesn't have epoxy that they have to make you look at.
The seats don't look particularly comfortable, even though they're very stylish. Glass roofs I really like, but even with really crazy UV blocking tint, they get hot inside.
Yeah, that's true.
My car has tinted glass roof, and the air conditioning, it works a lot harder than it has to. He's telling me to look at the front and the trunk. I'm trying to find the pictures.
I like the bear.
The bear's cool.
Um,
Anyway, yeah, it has.
I think another example
and
of a
front
car, come to think of it, of a car that just ate shit after it was great, was the B14 Sentra. The Sentra after the Sentra SER.
Yeah, you're talking like the 06, 07?
No, I'm talking
one?
the 95 Sentra. Because the early 90s Sentras,
Yeah.
the
more boxy looking
B13,
ones, the ones that are
yeah.
still in production in another part of the world.
that they just got rid of in
Oh,
Mexico.
damn.
The Nissan Tsuru. Blaine Torino was the last generation
I
of it.
only know that this car exists because of you, so yes, that's fine.
But yeah, so
I think I know what you're talking about. So the late 90s Sentra.
the late 90s Sentra, that's
Yeah.
another car. It's just absolute horseshit.
They're all gone, and they didn't sell enough for me to care in the beginning. So.
Well, I think they sold a lot of them. It's just every Sentra after the B13 has been shit. And it's just, I don't understand how that car's still in existence.
I mean, they made a later SER.
Which wasn't any good.
No, it didn't have any power. It was like,
You couldn't make any power because it had a unique engine that wasn't used in anything else.
Neutral Job did one of those. It actually held on pretty well, I have to say. The transmission seems very stout in those. But anyway, I'm more excited. I don't really care about the product. It's whatever. But it's going to force all the other EV car companies to follow suit and do better. So thank you, Lucid, for forcing everyone else to do better.
I'm not mad about that.
No, and it is a great-looking car. And if you have the means, I recommend you look into it.
Oh, God.
What?
We forgot to remove the $500,000 question from this episode as well. So did you hear that the PlayStation is 25 years old as of yesterday?
Which police station?
No, the PlayStation.
Oh.
PLAYSTATI.
Oh, yeah. Oh, great. Gran Turismo.
Yeah, now you've got a fucking Eiffel 65 B-side stuck in your head. Yeah, the PlayStation's 25 years old now, if you want to feel really old.
I remember going to Funko Land and getting ours brand new.
Very cool. I never had one. But I remember that the Chinese kid next to me, not being racist or anything, he actually was Chinese American.
No, that's fine.
But the Chinese kid that lived across the hallway from me got a PlayStation. Is blown away. I'm like, whoa, you got a video game on a CD? He goes, yeah, dude, check this out.
CD's
Bam,
black.
Slap. Look at that. Look at this. It's playing a video game, playing Tekken. I'm like, this is so cool. It was all 3D and everything. Because nobody in my apartment had N64 yet.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
So all we had ever seen is Super Nintendo. So 3D to me was Star Fox.
Yeah.
Which is
the N64 is an impressive console. It has a way better game catalog.
Have you ever played the Super Nintendo Star Fox though?
Yeah. Oh, my cousin Trent was super into the early Star Foxes, and then he got an N64 for Christmas in '97.
Yeah. And
then he showed me Star Fox 64. I'm like,
this is the coolest game in the world. Yeah. So anyway, this is so the PlayStation was finally turned 25, and I see it. I'm like, this is so cool. Look at all this stuff. There's you don't have any analog joysticks. So this is cool.
Well, and later they did.
Yeah, they did later on, but the early ones didn't.
Right.
But no, I found that out. I thought it was really cool. I have
very durable controllers.
Extremely
survived durable. A lot of anger.
I think they were designed.
A lot of prototype hours.
Oh, man. What was your favorite original PlayStation game?
Gran Turismo.
So,
Also Jumping Flash.
Driver 2.
Interesting.
That was my favorite. Driver 2
A game
did
that
it
didn't
for-
even attempt to have a physics engine.
Yeah, but I mean, it was really cool that, like, I'd never seen an open world game like that.
Okay, that is fair.
They did that before GTA 3.
Oh, yeah, way before. GTA
Yeah.
3 was like a PS2 title.
Yeah. Driver 1, you had, like, these, like, stupid time limits that sucked. But Driver 2, like, that was a really cool game.
That's fair.
Like, I would say that might be
That's like Midtown Madness for
Yeah.
PC.
Yeah, it really, like, it was. Midtown Madness 3. People slept
Is that
on
the one
game.
that had the Volkswagen Beetle on the front?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a good game. I love that game.
Good game. Horrible physics, but good game.
I might want to build a vintage computer so I can play Midtown Madness 3 again.
If you want to borrow one relatively long term, I have brand new builds.
I have to find a copy of it, though.
That shouldn't be a problem. I was stunned how easy it was to find box copies of pretty much anything I wanted, including Stratosphere, which is my favorite 90s computer game.
Awesome. My favorite 90s computer game was actually, it's called...
Oh, yeah, Crash Bandicoot, good call. Final Fantasy 7 and 8 were really good, too.
Ooh, those are really good.
Yeah,
Yes.
FF7. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
That's up there. But I think my favorite computer game... Oh, man, I was really a big fan of Lemmings. But that's like... I'm going to count that as an 80s game. But, like...
I also have a CD copy of Lemmings you might borrow.
Dope. My favorite 90s computer game in that era was this game called GI Combat, which like turned into Steel Division. It was the exact same game as Steel Division. It's like a World War II, like RTS
boring.
sort of game.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's RTS.
I like RTS,
Yeah, it's
but-
It's a World War II RTS.
Yeah, but at that time, Command and Conquer existed.
That's true.
So it makes
But
all other RTSs irrelevant.
today, my favorite 90s video game ever, by far, the Grim Fandango.
Oh, okay.
That is
That's fair.
Such a great game. Like, you don't play that
is
game as a
really
video
good.
game. You play that game as a movie. And really, any of the Tim Schafer games from that era. But,
That's
I mean,
like a slightly better but really graphically horrible Max Payne.
no, it's different. Because that one,
The story's a little bit better in Grim Fandango.
Grim
but-
Fandango is a point-and-click adventure game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well,
not
it's
like Max
like
Payne.
Pajama Sam, but like the...
It's closer to Secret of Monkey Island.
haven't
It's the
played
same
that.
thing as Secret of Monkey Island. You've
played
never played Secret of Monkey Island?
No.
Oh!
I guess I'll have to get it on GOG and stream
literally
it.
have to get Secret of Monkey Island. It's
Secret
so
of
good.
Monkey Island?
Yeah, the Secret of Monkey Island. Yeah, you have to get it. It's so good.
Let me see if it's
Love
on
that
GOG
game.
real quick. Oh, it is?
You have to get Secret of Monkey Island. It's like one of my.
Oh, it's $10.
You have to get it.
Maybe later.
You literally have to
Maybe
get it.
later.
It's so good.
Maybe later.
But yeah, Secret of Monkey Island and Grim Fandango. Full Throttle's another really good one. Any of this Tim Schafer guys. The Grim Fandango is my favorite because it was spooky. Like everybody's a skeleton in it. I loved that. So that's my topic instead of a car topic.
That's totally fine. I actually think people probably enjoy seeing if we have more in common with them. I
Yes.
do only have one more car topic, and then we'll end this episode. The incredibly ugly BMW M4 has been
two.
spied. Do
you
I?
have two.
What? I thought we didn't.
The 835.
Oh, the CSI?
Yes, but you can do that one last.
I want to get this bottom light out of here first. So anyway, the incredibly ugly BMW M4, which nobody should buy, the new one, has been spotted in GTS trim outside of a world-famous racetrack. I'll let you use your mind on which one that might be, with a compacted, squinty version of the 2008 Lexus ISF exhaust system. It looks really terrible. It is a trapezoid of terrible poo chutes.
That looks awful.
It looks terrible, and nobody should ever buy one of those to prove a point to BMW.
I'm not at all a fan
Now,
of that in
on
any
a
way.
much better BMW note, thank you for reminding me that I actually had this. The BMW E31, a fabulous, wonderful car that isn't on the level of DB5, obviously, but still one of the best BMWs, in my opinion. We just saw I will say this, a nothing special US spec 850 CSI close for $147,000. This car had 31,000 miles. It's got the no-cost option delete stupid mirrors on it. Doesn't even have the aero mirrors. It's in silver. It just it's a silver on dove. Like, it's a terrible color combination. This car should not have gone for this amount of money. But my question is, what is this going to do for 840, 850i auto, and 850i 6-speed values moving forward?
Not shit for 840s because they fucking blow.
In this country, they do.
That car top to bottom sucks ass.
In Europe, you could get an 840 with a 6-speed.
Okay. But I mean, like, it's still a fucking 840.
You could also get an 830, which was a V8 3-liter.
That sounds cool.
It's pretty cool. 5-speed option, too. Anyway, so, yes, I agree. It won't do anything for the automatic cars.
Nobody
They all
cares.
suck.
It's
But
not.
okay, Ryan, what is this going to do for my car, damn it?
I think your car will go up in value, of
think so,
course.
too.
But I mean, like, there's some asshole with an automatic 840 be like, this is a collector car.
Did you see that? They're going to bring a trailer. That's like the guy
not
with the 84 318i sending you the link to the $250,000 E30 M3. It's the same as my car.
It's not a collector car. It sucks.
But
It's like-
seriously, this car is 31,000 miles. That's not that low, and it is in the most boring color combination I could possibly fathom.
So my question is, does he have like insane maintenance records?
I mean, yes, because
why.
it's, well, fine. And it's not like it has the original sticker on like the gas gauge and stuff. It's a really nice car. I'm not trying to downplay that, but it is not, this is not a $150,000 car.
So whenever I have listings for cars,
Yeah.
the ones that do the best are the cars that have crazy detail. So I had like an E36 that the guy gave me
Is that black 95 coupe?
806 photo album.
How many of them were usable?
700 and I believe 92.
Oh, okay. So
you-
several.
Yeah, I'm very irritated because the car is great, but it's like every time I get down with the gallery, I get another 6 photos given to me. Like, But anyway, his car is gonna probably do great because he's got a super clean Dynan S3. It's like supercharged. Like, it's super rad. Like, fully built engine. He's got every receipt for everything that's ever been done to the car.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. People just like get super jazzed on it.
But on Brand Trailer, it's the receipts and the details that matter. You can have, because I mean, it's one of those things where it's like,
Is it actually, or is it just
It
really
honestly-
listing out what has actually been done to this car and when?
it's honestly the details on the car.
Right. So details
is-
I get.
that
but
is-
I don't think people give a shit about receipts if you can tell them exactly what happened to that car when.
Well, no, that's the thing is having the receipts are huge because on Brand Trailer we can't say the receipts, or we have to say seller states or was allegedly. We have to use hedging language if you don't have a receipt. But if you have a receipt, that's a howitzer right there for like your value. Like, that's gonna blow everything out of the water. So that's the thing is, I think if this car had like really good receipts on it, I think what you're looking at is probably the best possible example of one of these.
Yeah, but this isn't one of those cars like the E39 M5 people I see that literally have like printed manicured binders with laminated sleeves in them with every piece of paperwork that has ever been for this car. It's just a really nice straight car that has a reasonable service history. Like, if you go into the photo album, there isn't a binder.
Also, another item that this is a huge gallery, and that also helps.
It is a premium listing. But, like, let me start with the paperwork photos. So, like, okay, he's got a Google build sheet. Great, you saved your keys. Great, you've got the standard paperwork that comes with every one of these cars.
Yeah, right there.
Great. No, that's one invoice for 16
Oh, is
grand.
it? Okay.
That was done when 19. So he bought the car. It had a ton wrong with it. Did that. I've got one of those from my car when it was brought here from the Pacific Northwest.
I think that actually might be one of those. Might be the reason why.
That's it, though. That's all he has for paperwork. He doesn't have a stack of receipts.
I'd have
He's
to,
got one receipt.
There's probably something with this specific car that makes it worth the while because
Oh, it's a CSI. And the
Well,
fact
yeah.
that it's clean.
it's a very clean CSI with receipts where somebody just went through and fixed all the crap that's wrong with it,
Yeah.
and it's got a receipt that fixed all the crap.
It had a clutch. So.
Yeah. And you have that going for it. You have the fact that it is the most desirable body style. You also have the fact that even though it's kind of a boring color, like, the color really makes the design of the car work. He's got like great detail photos of it. The car was
Didn't even
like,
put a stock clutch in it, you animal.
So this is the thing is like everything works in it though. I think that's why. Because I like Green Trail. When you see these cars that go for bananas prices, it's not just like some random car. Like that 240 SX that I listed that sold for a record price.
Yeah.
That was probably the best 240 SX in existence.
And this
that
might
we knew
be
at that time.
the cleanest CSI I've ever seen in my life.
And I think that's why.
It has to be. Because
has to be.
there's
That's
nothing
like-
else.
It's one of those cars where, yeah, it has. It's not a desirable paint option. It
No,
doesn't
this
have.
should be Daytona Violet individual with black
And
interior.
you know what? I bet if this car was Daytona Violet with the fancy mirrors, the black interior,
Probably $200,000.
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, 250 all day long. It's like it with that Supra that sold. Like that was the best Mark IV Supra that sold. And it was all the way down to having the factory flaws on it. Like things like that like actually matter. I think that it's the fact that it's super original, the fact that you
it
have
is
the
still
maintenance
super rare.
history on it. I think that really matters a lot.
Okay, so there were 225 of these brought to the States. There were 847 of mine brought in. So I should start fabricating receipts then, is what you're saying. Because I've done all my own maintenance, I just have to go back and look at my YouTube videos to see what I've done.
If you actually, so
I'm not planning to sell my car.
I
for the record.
actually did a listing that was like that.
Oh,
If you provide the parts and proof that you put the parts on,
easy.
that's enough. That will count as a receipt. It's just the fact that people can say, because like any Joe Blow can say, yeah, I did all this stuff. But like if they don't have receipts,
Even if Bring a Trailer language was like, seller reports that, and then like there's an underbody picture. It says like, well, I can see the control arms and the thrust arms right there. They're literally brand new.
and so, well, that's the thing is like, even that I can't trust that. 'Cause
Right, which is why you
who
have
am-
that
who am-
language.
Who am I to say this is for sure good when somebody literally
Could have been
just
an
painted?
immaculately maintained 93 control arm.
They could have also just unbolted them, painted them, and put them back on.
Refurbished.
Yeah, like that's what I'm talking about. Like, it's one of those things where it's like you can't say for sure, so I have to use the hedging language and having a receipt and proof of that. It's like having a 5-digit odometer and being able to prove for a fact that that odometer has not rolled over is huge for the value of your car. It is almost impossible to prove because you're gonna have to have every single receipt and every single registration
truth be told,
since
is
new.
by and large, people don't care. Unless you've
Yeah.
got like a DB5 level car, it's like, okay.
And-
then
and-
you start chasing stuff down.
And that's the thing is like a lot of these cars, what a lot of people get upset about with Bring a Trailer is they see these cars go for bananas prices. And then they just look at that face and I go, whoa, somebody paid $80,000 for an Integra Type R. Oh my God. And then you don't look at the fact that it's like, this is the world's greatest Integra Type R that we can actually prove is in fact the world's greatest Integra Type
Yeah.
R.
Because
And-
you guys have to stand behind
Yeah,
that
like you actually have to
comment,
stand
so-
behind that sort of stuff. And so, like, that's the thing is, like, when you're getting these facts that you can actually legitimately prove, you know, that really changes the value. It's like if you have a 330 Ci ZHP, that's like every single receipt, everything's been proven, everything's been done. It's great. It's got a clean Carfax history. You're good. If you have a 330 Ci with 8 owners, 3 car accidents, an open recall, and like visible problems with the car currently, it's not going to do as well. Even though both cars could be offered at no reserve.
Well, really,
Like-
you should be selling a 330i ZHP.
Yes,
Because
that's
that is
true.
the correct number of doors.
Yes, but
I've never understood the CI. So
I'm just saying like apples to apples, the two cars.
Yep,
It's- I happen
I
to
hear
write
ya.
2 330 Ci's this week. So
there are interesting. Yeah, no, I'm actually. I act dumb in this respect, but I know exactly what these buyers do and don't care about. But I'm still very surprised.
yeah,
On this particular car.
it is amazing what the value will make or what that will change in value. It's like detailing your car can go a long way, but like seriously, a receipt
For that car,
goes-
it's just how clean it was physically.
Yeah,
That's
but-
it.
and it's
There
one
was
of those-
one receipt issued with it.
yeah. But I mean,
doesn't
well, that's the whole thing. It's like that receipt also took care of major issues with that car.
Yeah, but I guarantee every single 6-speed 850 has one of those receipts with it. Mine has one.
Well, I
It's
mean, like,
from or Autosport.
if you have a 1995 Mercedes SL 500.
And you have a receipt for a wiring harness.
Yeah, that will double your value of the vehicle. If you have a 1995 SL500 with no receipts and it's 20,000 miles, it doesn't matter it's 20,000 miles. You have no receipts, that car could be the world's. It could be Princess Diana's car. It would be worth less. Yeah, it's that.
It's like buying a 355 without a receipt for the last engine out. Who would do that?
Yeah, exactly. Like, well, yeah, that's the thing. Is
But I also paid $50,000 for my car because of it.
exactly,
So there you go.
and that's the thing. Is like you're paying like half the price for
Yeah.
that. And you know what? The person that buys the SL500 with no receipts, and then, oh wow, look at that! The engine harness has been done. That's cool.
Yeah.
Now you just got a great deal on a car.
Then you take a picture of that, and then you put that in your listing.
Exactly.
And then the smart people will know.
Yeah, exactly. So
Look, that's all we got, isn't it?
I actually added one little thing in here.
Oh, okay.
I talked a while back about the left-hand drive Skyline that was found in Idaho junkyard.
I see it now.
Yeah. Do you remember that? I talked about that left-hand drive super rare
Yep.
Skyline. Well, it finally made its way to Japan.
Hey.
Alexis Ocampo, the guy who found it, the junkyard employee that actually found that car and was responsible for getting this car. Why did you do that?
Didn't do anything. JNC did that.
Alexis Ocampo, the guy who found that at his junkyard and actually saved this car, was given a whole bunch of swag from Japanese Nostalgia Car.
Nice.
We took care of him. Don't you even worry about that. But that car is now in the hands of Barracuda. And Barracuda is a vintage Skyline restoration shop.
That seems like it's probably the good place for it to go.
They've got two left-hand drive Skylines that are going to be used as parts cars to rebuild that one. So they've found, I think, actually every existing one. Because I think there was only there had to be less than 50 that were ever brought to the United States.
I'm surprised there are even that many.
That's me using hedging language. Me personally, there's probably less than 10 that were brought here. And so I'm pretty sure that they have all the surviving
And that's probably
cars,
the last
and they're
one.
making the last left-hand drive Prince Skyline. And
Good. We need a representative survivor of everything.
Yes, and this is going to be it. And I'm upset that I didn't buy it because I wanted $4,000 for it.
Jesus.
But
Yeah, but you wouldn't have done it justice like this.
I
place
would not have done it justice, no. I would have had to do like an SR swap in it or something. It would have been gross. It would have been bad. I didn't want to deal with it. That's actually why I didn't spend $4,000 on this car.
We talked about this like 9+ months ago.
Yeah.
Probably almost a year ago.
Yeah. It was before I bought my house. But like
You bought your house like 2 weeks ago.
it was a process that took 2 months though.
Again, this was way before COVID.
No, this is during COVID.
This article was not during COVID.
Click on the original article. I haven't linked in there.
This guy found in Idaho?
Yeah.
Fine. It was during COVID. Wow, that looks way worse than the junkyard pictures.
I know, it looks really
Did
worse.
they bolt some steelies to it?
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
So apparently it's actually a huge pain in the ass finding steelies for that car.
What's the bolt pattern?
Like,
6 by...
6 by like 110 or something stupid like that. Like it's a really ridiculous leg pattern. Like it doesn't fit any other car in the world. I think they actually had to like go to like Daytona or like Dayton Racing or something, and like get some like custom made
Probably
steelies.
sent them in, right? I mean, you can mail them in from Japan. Wow, that thing got hit. I forgot about that.
Oh, this car has all sorts of just really screwed up. It was bad.
That thing's... I'm excited to see. I assume JNC will cover it when it's done, but yeah.
Yeah,
that
as soon
seems
as we
good.
hear about Barracuda doing that, because
Barracuda.
Barracuda's one.
Ooh!
Yeah. They're one of the coolest shops for doing just like weird stuff. And
Very fine.
if you're wondering what kind of truck this is, it's an Isuzu Canter.
Yeah, ignore the Mitsubishi.
Or
writing
sorry,
in the front.
not Mitsubishi Canter, not an Isuzu. I actually wrote it down in there. The brand of the truck, 'cause I actually found it. But yeah, so I just thought it was kind of cool. It's some of my collector car news I wanted to do.
Mitsubishi Canter flatbed.
There we go, Mitsubishi Canter flatbed. What's cool is the bed actually comes all the way down, drops on the ground perfectly flat,
Nice.
and then comes back up, and then slides back up.
So the Canter is cantilevered.
Yeah, it goes like this. Like a cantilever. Yeah. There you go.
Wow.
I think it would have been better if they grabbed it with the Nissan Big Thumb, but here I am. Anyway, thank you for listening to Carbitrage.
We'll see
It's been a
you next
pleasure.
week.
We'll see you next week.